We told them that those refineries were not going to work. We told them. But they went ahead, just like the way they deceived Yaradua. They went ahead, they've deceived Buhari, and now they want to deceive us again. They want technical partners. Oh, yes. Like be Itano, like they will say, like the ones you people had yesterday. You will have just allowed that, what's it called, Yaradua, Babasanjo has sold this refinery to the consortium. You will have just allowed that consortium to continue.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. Welcome back to Oba's Trending Gist. Today, we are diving straight into a first segment from Arise News Morning Show. The anchors, Ayo, Rufai Oseni, and Dr. Abati tackled some burning issues in Nigeria, from the controversial presidential pardon list to the unending saga of our national refineries and the recent developments with Asuu. It is a mix of governance, public outcry, and the economic realities. And their takes are, as always, thought-provoking. Let us watch this compelling discussion, and then I will bring it all down for you. Sit back and take a watch.
Rufai, your take on these stories this morning. Good news with Asuu, the update on Asuu. Finally, Mr. Bayo Ojulari is addressing the issue around the state of the refineries and what we should expect. And then going on to the stories, of course, around the service chiefs and the pardon list. Your take on these stories.
Okay. First, the pardon list. Yes, some people have posted the argument that it shows that government listen. The opposition said it shows shame, not wisdom. The question we should ask, those people that have first supported the pardon by the president, and you see how funny you look today in your arguments. Because we said these things. Look at the case of Miriam Sanda and the killing. A lot of people argue that Miriam Sanda was on that list, but a man that attacked a bandit back in return in self-defense was not put on that list. Probably, I think his name is Sunday Jackson, if my memory serves me right. So when you look at it, you look at how skewed it was. You can see the end to all the funny press conferences that were held. And the father of the boy that was killed was saying, we forgive you and let it go. Thank God the blood of that man that was killed spoke. And a lot of Nigerians came up to speak. Because we won't allow this to continue in our country. I'm also happy that the president has made some reforms, that this review committee of pardons will now sit in the office of the AGF. But I think we should expand the scope of this. Let's also bring people, ordinary people, people from different, interest groups in the country to be part of this process. But most importantly this morning, those that perpetrated this heinous crime against Nigeria, those that made this government look like a joke, because correct me if I'm wrong, a pardon reversal is a shocking one for Nigeria.
A number of people have debated that. So
those that made this government look like a joke, those that padded the pardon list, we must see their names and we must see sanctions meted out. If we don't have accountability, we can't build a society. The problem with Nigeria is we're trying to build a society without accountability. It will not work. Like somebody will say, if he didn't day, he didn't day. If accountability no day, Nigeria cannot day. So please, Attorney General, we'd like to see the names of those people. And people involved in that committee, heads must roll. Nnpc, what money did they want again? To fleece Nigerians like they've been fleecing Nigerians. But we told them that those refineries were not going to work. We told them. But they went ahead, just like the way they deceived Yaradua. They went ahead, they've deceived Buhari, and now they want to deceive us again. They want technical partners. Oh, yes. Like be Itano, like they will say, like the ones you people had yesterday. You will have just allowed that, Yaradua, Babasanjo has sold this refinery to the consortium. You will have just allowed that consortium to continue. But you deceived Yaradua, and now it has shown that Babasanjo is correct on this matter. They've been collecting money on this refinery, it's not worked. Why don't we just sell it off? When Atiku Abubakar said this, he said he was opposition, he wanted to sell it to his cronies. But over 350 billion we've lost in 6 months on the Port Harcourt refinery. Some reports were saying that recently. Because we keep funding the staff there. We keep funding the inefficiencies of this refinery, while Dangote has shown us that it can work. Like I said before, remove your hand from the ogbono soup that is not drawing. Go and put water on fire for okra that will draw. Invest in Dangote Refinery. The federal government should exit this refinery business because it's shown you can't run it effectively. If you could run it effectively, the refineries would not go moribund. If you have a private sector that can run it with accountability, increase your equity in Dangote Refinery. At first, Ojulari was asked for 60 billion. We can make it work. You can make it work how? Is that not the same way Mele Kyari said they will make it work? Did it work? Did it work? Didn't they use everything to justify? Didn't they get protesters to protest that the refinery is working, that TV stations are the problem? The next point, as regards the federal government, when they do well, I will commend them. On this Asuu matter, yes, it's a right step in the right direction, but it's not good enough. 2.3 billion, yes, to be able to add to the arrears and the demands while they talk to Asuu. But all the things that they need to fulfill, they must be able to fulfill them, pure and simple. We must go one step further. And I must commend this government, because in terms of responding to the plight of Asuu and even other sectoral response, we've seen some good strides on this government. In fact, just like the pension thing I was talking about, when they said they had cleared it, I went to make my results. They said not entirely, but this government has shown a great level of response. So we commend them as regards all of that. I yield the floor on this story. I wanted to talk about the new service chief, but I yield the floor.
All right. Dr. Bati.
Okay, congratulations to this day on the recognition. It's good for the brand. It's also a source of encouragement for the staff, the editors, of this day newspaper. And I think, it's been celebrated deservedly, justifiably. Now, to go quickly to Nnpc. Nnpc cumulatively has spent, in one account, $3 billion. In another account, a total of $18 billion. Some people put the figure even higher than that, to rehabilitate the refineries in Kaduna, Warri, and Port Harcourt. The one in Port Harcourt, they said they did a technical completion. Now, it produced about 60,000 barrels per day for a few weeks, and then it collapsed. The one in Warri never worked at all, money down the drain. The one in Kaduna never worked at all, money down the drain. And while they were doing that monkey business with the refineries and wasting taxpayers' money, a private investor, Aliko Dangote, came up and spent $20 billion to deliver the largest single-train refinery in the world. But the Nigerian government was wasting almost or more than the same amount, and they could not produce anything. Now, we have a new GMD of NNPCL, Engineer Bayo Ojulari, and he doesn't seem to have, clarity in terms of what he wants to do. First, when he got there, he said, we're going to revive the refineries. Secondly, he came and said, we're going to look for, a way to revive, to sell off the refineries. Then he has changed his mind now. He says they are looking for technical equity partners. Look, I've argued before on this desk that the best thing that they can do is to sell those 3 refineries as scrap and let the private sector take over. If you sell to the private sector, you will even deepen competition in the oil and gas business. Dangote is already there. There are other players, Renaissance Energy and others. You can deepen competition for the benefit of the Nigerian people. Particularly now that they are saying they are going to collect a fuel tax to the rate of about 100 naira per liter or so, in Lagos. It may be different in other parts of the country, which means that, in fact, the pump price of fuel will go up. If there is competition, it will bring down prices. And when Alhaji Aliko Dangote was responding to Pengasan, Nupeng, other people complaining about Dangote refinery operations, he said, look, the more the merrier. Let government encourage other competitors so that there will be no complaint about monopoly. There is one report that I read Despite the efforts of the Dangote Refinery, we're still importing fuel. And so if you have refineries that are working, then of course maybe the burden on the average consumer will be less. However, they say they are looking for equity partners. You never know what they will do at the end of the day. Tomorrow, the Ojulari-led Nnpc may change his mind. So until we see what exactly they want to do. But it's important to remove government's hand from the business. Government has failed us in the oil and gas business, just as it has failed the Nigerian people in the electricity business since 1960. So if they are going to get equity partners, let the private sector investors, let them have the controlling share, maybe 51%. Let it not be the federal government of Nigeria having the controlling share, because those refineries will still be run as a government business. And in any case, the technology is obsolete in those 3 refineries. They should go and study the models. Petrobras in Brazil, Aramco in Saudi Arabia. What is the international best practice? It shouldn't be so difficult for the Nigerian government to run a refinery. That's that about that. As for Asuu, well, it's good that at last the federal government has intervened. There is the Yayale Ahmed negotiation committee. Yeah. And that committee, government is saying, look, Asuu should not go on strike. You know, the negotiations will continue. They have something they call needs assessment initiative. On the basis of the needs assessment, they have now decided to pay batch 8 of the salaries and pension arrears, which the lecturers were complaining about. That yes, the Tinubu administration came in and paid, 8 months salary, but there are still outstanding, payments to be made. I think it's a demonstration of good faith, both on the part of the minister and also of the federal government. But it's now up to Asuu to appreciate what the Tinubu government has done. But in any case, this kind of situation in which we have found ourselves should not even have happened in the first place. Medical doctors were the ones we were talking about the other day, resident doctors. Now it is university teachers. If you go down the line, polytechnic teachers, secondary school teachers, education and health should be taken seriously. If this country that is attending the first future initiative conference in Riyadh is going to look at other countries demonstrating robotics, NVIDIA making money, talking about artificial intelligence. If you don't have a strong education sector, you cannot have the workforce of the future that can compete and promote and position Nigeria effectively. As for the pardon list, very quickly, 175 names on the original list. I even queried that. I said, why 175? Some, sophomore kind of attitude, some funny behavior. So because it's section 175, you must also have 175 people on the list of pardon.
You don't have empirical facts.
Well, section 175 is where the presidency derives its power from.
Yes.
So why did they first pardon 175?
No, you don't have empirical
No,
it's a very simplistic,
you don't have proof.
sophomoric way of reasoning.
Creative.
However, they've now reduced that to 120. They now say 15 will be pardoned, 15 will get clemency, the remaining number will get commutal of sentence. I think 86, right? 86 getting commutal of sentence. So in all, you now have about 120 on that particular list. Now, it is medicine after death. This is what they should have done originally, due diligence. The president went to the Council of State, he got the support of the Council of State, even if the Council of State is an advisory body. Then the Attorney General of the Federation tried to do damage control and said, look, before we gazette this, on the basis of public outcry and public reaction, we will take another look and we will do the needful. No, it's messing after that, because if there had been due diligence, this is what they should have done previously. Now they have removed all the drug-related offenders, the fraudsters, who should not have been on the list in the first place. So this is a price you pay. It's not just about responding to public outcry. In the future, I think there must be a way of involving civil society in assessing the list before it is even taken to the Council of State, before it is even made public. Now they say the Secretariat for the Prerogative of Mercy has been moved from the Ministry of Special Duties to the Federal Ministry of Justice. But the Attorney General of the Federation was the chairman of that committee on the Prerogative of Mercy. So it's not just about moving the Secretariat. Everyone on that Secretariat who produced this list that annoyed Nigerians should be sacked. And that committee of the Prerogative of Mercy should be reconstituted forthwith. And then, where sanctions must apply, those persons who embarrassed the president, because this is clearly an embarrassment.
Yes.
And that's why the opposition parties are saying this is shameful, this is shocking. So they've given them the opportunity to criticize the federal government. So this sloppiness is not something that can be excused. So the minimum is not about moving to the Ministry of Justice. The Minister of Justice himself and Attorney General was the chairman of the committee. So as the chief law officer of the Federation, why didn't he see the loopholes? He had to wait for people to carry placards. Even Dijade Yonju, who had praised the federal government for revising the list, said because Miriam Sanders' name is still on the commutal of sentence, he has withdrawn his commendation for the federal government. They cannot, afford this kind of sloppiness. You give a national award, names of dead people are there. People who have been given awards before, they are given another award again. No, they just speak to,
Competence.
I don't want to use that word. You see that I was hesitating.
Now,
No, I'm not saying, I said sloppiness. I don't want to say incompetence.
Talking about if they will be sacked is incompetence.
Incompetence.
Okay.
Use it. Incompetence.
S must roll. Now, the Abat Macaulay family even came forward and said, okay, whatever happened with the nationalist, Abat Macaulay, was during the colonial era. It wasn't under the Nigerian government. It was before 1960. Now, what powers? From where does the Nigerian government derive its powers to say they are pardoning Abat Macaulay? The family says, no, our father is not a common offender or criminal. He was a nationalist. If anything, he deserves to be given national honor. But in the reconsideration, the federal government did not look at that. I think it's something they can revisit. They can correct one mistake and then correct another mistake, since it seems to be a recurring pattern.
That was quite a robust discussion on Arise News Morning Show, really laid bare some critical issues affecting Nigerians today. Now, moving on to the more contentious topic. The discussion around the presidential pardon list was particularly intense. Rufai highlighted a key point. While some view the government's view of the pardon list as a sign of listening, the opposition calls it shame, not wisdom. He specifically questioned the initial inclusion of individuals like Maram Sanda, convicted of killing her husband, versus someone like Sunday Jackson, who acted in self-defense against bandits, who was not on the list. The core issue here, as stressed by Rufai, is accountability. Who compiled that initial skewed list and what sanction will they face? This isn't just about reversing a decision, it is about transparency and ensuring due process from the start. Dr. Abati further emphasized this, questioning why a pardon list would even need to be reviewed in the first place, calling it medicine after death, and highlighting the embarrassment it caused the president. Next up, the Nnpc Refineries, a perennial headache for Nigeria. Both Rufai and Dr. Abati expressed deep frustration. Dr. Abati recounted how billions of dollars, between $3 billion and $18 billion by some estimates, have been cumulatively spent over the years to rehabilitate the Kaduna, Warri, and Port Harcourt refineries. Yet, they remain largely comatose. The Port Harcourt refinery, despite a technical completion, only produced for a few weeks before collapsing. Warri and Kaduna, according to Dr. Abati, never worked at all. Rufai pointed out the irony of this, especially when Aliko Dangote has successfully built and is running the world's largest single-train refinery. They both advocate for the government to get out of the refinery business and sell these assets even as scrap, to allow the private sector and crucially competition to strive. They criticized the current Nnpc GMD for what they perceived as shifting stances. First, promising revival, then seeking to sell, and now looking for technical equity partner. The call is clear: let private investors with a controlling share lead the way to efficiency and competitive pricing for the benefits of Nigerians. Finally, the Asuu backlog. The federal government's release of 2.3 billion naira to clear the Asuu backlog was acknowledged as a positive step. However, the consensus was that while it is a move in the right direction, it doesn't fully address all the demands of Asuu and other critical sectors like medical doctors and polytechnics teachers who also face similar challenges. It underscores a larger problem: the need for sustained, serious investments in education and healthcare to build a competent future workforce. My critical take here is that this discussion highlights a deep-seated issue in Nigerian governance: a lack of accountability and strategic foresight, often masked by reactive measures. The presidential pardon fiasco is a stark example. A process that should uphold justice and mercy was, by many accounts, initially compromised, leading to public outcry and a humiliating review. This isn't just about who is pardoned, it is about the integrity of our institutions and the trust placed in leadership. The call for those responsible for the initial sloppy list to be sanctioned is absolutely critical for setting a precedent of responsibility. Similarly, the endless money pit of the Nnpc Refinery reflects a chronic inability of government to efficiently manage complex industrial assets. When a private individual can build a world-class refinery, while state-owned ones devour billions without yielding results, it is not merely an operational failure, it is a systematic one. The argument for full privatization, or at least a significant shift in ownership to the private sector with majority control, isn't just about economics. It is about releasing these vital assets from the shackles of bureaucratic inefficiency and the corruption which often plague government-run enterprises. The public deserves functional refineries that reduce fuel costs, not continuous excuses and taxpayers' money down the drain. The Asuu situation, while showing some movement, is another symptom of these reactive governments. Education should be a top priority, a proactive investment, not a firefighting exercise driven by strikes. These recurring issues across critical sectors suggest a need for fundamental reforms in how public institutions are managed, funded, and held accountable. Without genuine accountability for past failures and a clear long-term vision, Nigeria risks perpetuating this cycle of crises and temporary fixes. That's all for now on Obas Trending Gist. I hope this deep dive gave you a clearer perspective on some of Nigeria's most pressing issues. What are your thoughts? Share them in the comments below. So don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Obas Trending Gist, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next discussion. Until then, stay informed and keep the conversation going. See you on the next one.